Hello guys, and welcome. It is that SOE2 Dude, or you can call me Dude, bringing you guys another Splatoon 3 video. Now this video is going to be the first breakdown of many from the Splatoon 3 Direct. I was originally going to do a very huge analysis showing off absolutely everything all in one video. However, there's just so much information given to us and little details to unpack, where I feel it'd just be far too much to talk about all in one sitting to you guys. So today we're going to be focusing on 3 of the new specials and my thoughts on them, on how I feel they're going to play out and affect gameplay. We're also going to be talking about some of the returning specials from Splatoon 2 and how these specials will play out, work against others, and how great it is like things like Stingray and Ink Armor no longer exist in the game. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the very first new special, which is known as the Tacticooler. The Tacticooler is a new special where you are able to provide a supply drop that will give your teammates a speed boost of, I believe, run speed and swim speed, as long as they pick up one of the soda cans from the fridge. Now in the Direct, they also mentioned that it can give a variety of perk boosts. So I can imagine it also increasing potentially the ink efficiency for main weapons and sub-weapons. It would basically be the comeback ability, except it's a special that everyone can obtain while on the battlefield. Now don't quote me on this like it's a true thing or not, because we don't know the specific details on how it completely works. But if it was true, then using something like this on, let's say, a game type like Splat Zones could be very beneficial, as it should be easier to contest the zone with the larger paint efficiency you would be outputting onto the zone. Now I do like this special quite a lot though. It's a very supportive special that will boost your stats for yourself if you're using a weapon that doesn't necessarily need to wear a lot of swim speed or run speed. Then using things like special charge up plus a weapon that has the Tacticooler will give you more opportunities to have that speed boost. The fact that you can also give this to your teammates anywhere around the map is really cool, no pun intended, as it will make them harder targets to conquer for your opponents due to you making them move just much faster around the map. My only question about this, however, is how long will the effects last for? Having ability boosts like this are great, but will you actually get the benefits in battle? Does it even run out? Do you keep the effects till you get splatted? I feel these things do need to be answered, because if you have something like combat, if it even is in the game, wouldn't one another become redundant, considering this ability would be doing the same thing unless they stack on top of each other, or one is just much better than the other, or one does something completely different that the other one doesn't do? I think it's important to talk about things like this, because let's say that the effects last for about 10 seconds. Would we want to use this over something like comeback if the speed boost and efficiency are the same? It's just something that we'll have to find out as we get closer to the release date and eventually, of course, use the special ourselves. Let's now talk about one of the other special weapons known as the Wavebreaker. The Wavebreaker is basically the echolocator baby from Splatoon 1, but in Splatoon 3. Roughly every 2.5 seconds, it will send out a pulse that can locate enemies that are within the pulse radius, which is pretty large. This is only if the player is actually standing on the ground, as this special can be avoided by jumping over the pulse. It would be something that players would want to do, since you can take damage from the pulse. Now, if you remember the marker pen with the god-awful name, I think it's called the Angle Shooter or some nonsense like that, but it's practically the same thing, except it's like an earthquake version of it. Now, in my honest opinion, with the 3 specials that we've been shown in the Splatoon 3 Direct, this one by far has the most impact out of all of them. And the main reason for that is all the things that it does to enemies. For an example, throwing this into some camp/shark heavy spots or areas should always weed out and force players to move. No one is going to want to get located by this special, and on top of that, getting hit by this 3 times will result into getting splatted. In close range combat, this seems like such a great special to use and make people jump around, slowing their movement down. And on top of that, using this special weapon against weapons that suffer from really bad jump RNG, much like the 52 gal or the 96 gal, it seems like this special would be a great counter to them, as it's going to force those weapons to always have to jump over the pulse. And, well, if you basically charge them at those kinds of situations, especially if you're on the team that has the Wavebreaker on the ground, you're really going to make them suffer from short range and long range engagements. Speaking of long range fights, I love the idea that they have also given this to the E-liter, since it seems you are able to throw this a fair distance. This would be great to combo off any charger, as your enemy would have to jump around, which can allow chargers to easily set up snipes for those trying to avoid the special. Now, of course, you guys have probably had the idea that you could probably squid roll over the pulse, which, you know, that is probably a decent tactic against a charger of some sort. But just thinking about it, it's kind of just part of the mind game of Splatoon, or the mental game, however you want to call it. Mainly because it's like, alright, if I'm a charger and I'm trying to shoot someone who's squid rolling to avoid the pulse, there's like a number of situations that could happen. A person could just normally jump over it, and I'm the sniper and I can just snipe them, getting a really easy kill. Or it could be someone who's smart, or thinks they're smart, because they squid roll over the pulse, but the thing is, I'm smarter and I could snipe them as they land from their squid roll, you know? It's just like a whole plethora of like situations that can happen from this kind of stuff. And to be honest, I'm all for it, because, you know, it's just different ways that you have to now think with when you get new specials like this, so it gets a thumbs up from me. Now, this is the third and last new special that we've gotten within Splatoon 3, and it's called the Reefslider. Essentially, it's a motorbike shark thing that will let you boost really quickly into an area to then unleash a really quick explosion into the vicinity, blowing up anyone near you. Now, to be honest, that's really it. That's the whole special. That's the whole thing. You go into an area, you blow up. And other than that, there's not really much to say on it, other than it looks really cool. However, I do have some questions and concerns for this type of special. If you have been playing Splatoon 2, you would be familiar with Splashdown and how cancelable it was. Probably just made a new word there. But this special looks very much like Splashdown, except it's horizontal instead of vertical. Now, there are a couple things I want to mention with this, is that how protected are you while you are on the slider? Are you able to be shot off of it? Considerably, you do move very fast with it, so you won't be the easiest target to hit, but it seems like it might be a possibility. Will you have super armor when you stop on the slider? I feel it could be a possibility, just so you're not completely vulnerable. These are a few things that we'll find out soon enough when we actually get to try it. Other than that, you do have a couple of good qualities that seem better than Splashdown. The line of entrying is always very nice for your teammates. The possibility of roadkill being a thing also could be pretty cool, considering how fast you are moving on this thing. How quick the explosion is as you dismount can also be very surprising to any enemy to actually even react to it. Now, it doesn't seem like you're able to steer in different directions when you're using this special, but I do wonder if you're able to dismount earlier instead of taking the full line with the Reefslider, because, you know, I feel like, do you have to commit to that, you know? Would you want to commit to that all the time? And if you do, you're going to always have to think about how far you need to be and how much range it is when you actually use the special to actually like perfectly like slide and land on someone, you know? I do think this special will be very solid when it comes to just rushing down at least like one person, but, you know, time will tell again. We don't exactly know, and we'll figure it out when it gets closer to the time. Now, those are the 3 new specials that we've gotten from the Splatoon 3 Direct, and seemingly the last ones we'll know about unless they come up with something new in the future, which they probably might will. We surprisingly also have returning specials from Splatoon 2, much like the Inkjet, the Ink Storm, Ultra Stamp, Booyah Bomb, and... Okay, so I know what a lot of people are probably thinking, especially from the comm scene. Oh my god, why are Tender Missiles gonna come back, bro? Like, come on, man. Like, now, just hold up. Considering we are going into this as a new game, we don't know exactly how Tender Missiles are going to work exactly coming into Splatoon 3. And we don't know if they're gonna work the same way like they did in Splatoon 2. But if they do work the same way coming in from Splatoon 2, most likely they will be nerfed. If they are not nerfed, then prepare to get your big bubblers, because that's going to be probably the main way to actually counter it. And I was also just thinking, what if you're gonna have to use the ink vacuum to actually suck the tenta missiles coming out from the sky, you know? I think that kind of concept would be kind of funny because it'd just be like these guys just like sucking them out the sky, like, what? Personally, I'm okay with the return. In fact, I'm more glad that ink armor and stingray are not present in the game. Like, just think about it. We don't have to run around the map and then, like, challenge someone that has ink armor and then, like, have to just not play the game for about 8 seconds because whatever you do, they just have the ink armor, and it's just like you can't do anything against them because they have armor, and even if you put more than enough bullets into them, you still have to wait for the super armor to actually like go away completely for you to actually take them out. Like, you can now run around in this game and take out anybody out as long as they're not in the big bubbler, and that's great. I love that about this game. The inclusion of inkjet is also very interesting. In competitive, it may be a little weaker since you can't now pair it with ink armor, so players are probably going to have to play a little safer with it now. It would be really interesting to see if the effects of the Tacticooler improve the strafing speed of the inkjet or make it this flying demon that soars through the sky and all that. I also like the inclusion of Inkstorm also coming back, as I think it's just a great special just to force people out of areas and also just apply more paint on the ground while, of course, already using your weapon. I think that kind of stuff is just so great for this game, so very, very supportive special even then, so I like it. Ultra Stamp and Booyah Bomb also coming back into this game is also very amazing because it allows more opportunities for more weapons to actually use this special instead of just a minimal amount of weapons like it was in Splatoon 2. And also lastly, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Bomb Launcher is not in the game. And personally, I love this change because it makes it so that every single main weapon has an actual special instead of just throwing a couple of bombs every now and then. I feel that kind of concept previously in Splatoon 1 and 2 would just, I wouldn't say it's lazy, but it just makes it a little inconsistent because you'd have some weapons that have Splat Bomb Rush, some would have Curling Bomb Rush, a couple would have like Burst Bomb Rush. Like, it's inconsistent. Like, all those bomb launches worked a little differently depending on which one you had. They all didn't work the same, even though they were all the same, like bomb launchers and all that type of stuff. So I like it that it's just more consistent. Every weapon has like a concrete special where it's tensor missiles, ink armor, Tacticooler, big bubbler, you name it. Like, everything has something where you're actually using something more interesting about the game, and I love that. So it's a great change, honestly. And the conclusion for this video is that I really like the direction they are taking special weapons in Splatoon 3. There's just so much more of them to choose from, they're all unique in their own way, and I feel like they all have a decent amount of purpose to do something to change the game, whether it's supportive or offensive. Like, I honestly feel like there's gonna be like classes of special weapons, where you have your supportive special weapons, your offensive special weapons, and since I don't have a third option, you have the special weapons. I don't know. But with all that being said, I'm also interested to know what you guys think of these new special weapons that we've gotten in the Splatoon 3 game. I'm also interested to know of how you guys feel of the returning specials coming back into Splatoon 3 from Splatoon 2. Let me know all of that in the comment section below. But with all that, I really appreciate you guys watching this video. If you haven't seen my full reaction to the Splatoon 3 Direct, there'll be a link in the description or a link at the end of the video. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'm going to be posting a whole bunch of Splatoon 3, as I am already now. We're decoding the entire Splatoon 3 Direct thoroughly as I possibly can. And we're going to be going crazy this entire month with Splatoon 3 content. So I'd like you guys to make sure to, you know, get on board, join the Dude Society and all that type of stuff. So on top of that, make sure to follow me on Twitter. It's in the description below. Make sure to follow my Twitch as well. And also follow the Discord channel. It's generally one of the greatest places on Discord to talk about Splatoon 3, to also get people to, you know, squad up and play Splatoon together. And also, if you're trying to get updated with like my latest videos and also be notified for when I go live for a Twitch stream, greatest place there. So, you know, with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video, guys. And yeah, I shall see you guys in a future video. Like it.